Distinguished guests, colleagues, fellow road safety advocates, welcome. I am Vicki Blackman, Public Health Specialist at the United Nations for Training and Institute for Training and Research, UNITAR. It is my honor to be your moderator for today's important launch event as we observe the 8th UN Global Road Safety Week. To open our event, we are delighted to share with you a recorded message from the UN Assistant Secretary General and Executive Director of UNITAR, Ms. Michelle Gyles-Mcdonnough. Let's listen in.
You need to share the audio.
Serves as a call to action. Dear colleagues and friends, thank you for joining our 8th United Nations Global Road Safety Week, Streets for Life, dedicated to highlighting high-impact interventions in support of road safety. This week serves as a call to action, reminding each of us that we have a role to play in creating safer and more inclusive mobility systems. Road traffic crashes claim approximately 1.2 million lives each year, reflecting its burden on families, on societies, and economies. This burden is particularly high for vulnerable road users, such as motorcyclists. Motorcycle users account for an estimated 360,000 deaths annually, representing about 30% of all road traffic fatalities. This means that a total of 41 motorcyclists died every hour in 2024. These figures are not mere statistics. They represent families, workers, and young people whose lives have been tragically cut short. We cannot remain passive. On the occasion of Road Safety Week, we're putting the spotlight on motorcyclists as one of the most vulnerable groups of road users and launching our new intelligent motorcycle road safety assessment app. This AI-powered web app is designed for motorcycle users, for policymakers, for urban planners and road safety advocates, delivering critical insights to help prevent crashes and save lives. The app combines metadata, machine learning, and the power of generative artificial intelligence to assess risk levels for motorcycle drivers. It builds a comprehensive motorcycle road safety index framework that includes 34 factors related to human behavior, roads and infrastructure, the environment, emergency, and regulations. And it also offers tailored recommendations to mitigate risks based on location-specific data. I invite you to explore the Intelligent Motorcycle Road Safety Assessment app as a contribution to meeting our shared goal of road safety for all. Let's make every journey safer for everyone, everywhere. Let's build Streets for Life.
A special thank you to our Executive Director for that powerful message and call to action. We now turn to our opening segment, where we will hear from two road safety advocates. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. John Blood, Chief Legal and Corporate Affairs Officers at InBev, and immediately following, Mr. David Williams, Vice President of the Barbados Motoring Federation and Director of the North American Continental Union of the International Motoring Federation. Mr. Blood, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Vicki, and thank you to Michelle for her opening remarks. And thank you to all for joining us as part of this year's UN Global Road Safety Week. This year's theme, Streets for Life, is a powerful reminder, right, that road safety is measured in lives saved. And each of us has a role to play. And we must take ownership of this global challenge. When I think about the framework about how I think about this, I really think about it is, what is we as a company can do? So for me, we're a brewer, AB InBev. What can we do? But also, what can we do together? And as far as what we can do as a company, I think of my 150,000 colleagues all around the world, in every country, on the roads. What can we do? In addition, what can we do with every truck that we have? What can we do with the big trucks, the little trucks, on our commutations, everything that we can do? Our responsibility is to get that right, both for society at large and to my colleagues. We have an obligation to do that, to make it as safe as possible. And how we organize ourselves is very important. We see this as a company-wide effort. This isn't someone in one particular department. This isn't someone who's just involved in road safety. This is about all my colleagues in sales, all my colleagues in logistics, my colleagues in supply, my colleagues in all our different departments coming together. And institutionally, we've organized ourselves around that. We literally have a road safety community of practice involving many members of our community at the company in every continent around the world. And this is about sharing best practices. It's about listening to others. It's about being out in our communities, doing the right thing. But most important, one of the things that we learned a long time ago is that while we have obligations and it's important for us to do what we can do, all of that really pales in comparison to what we can do together, what we can do through partnerships. And we are delighted with our partnership with UNITAR. And this is something that really has been a game changer for us. It's been able to do what no individual company, what no individual person can do, which is about scale and reach. The ability to scale up best practices, the ability to take something that works for us and to be able to share it, not just in one country, but in all the languages around the world, to make sure that this is having an impact in towns and cities and even on the national level. UNITAR has been instrumental in that for us. There is no way that we could do anything close to what we've been part of without the skill sets, without the commitment, and without the passion that we've seen from UNITAR. So thank you for UNITAR from that, and we're honored to be part of it. And let me turn a little bit to today. And for today, our motorcycle road safety assessment app is, I think, going to be a game changer. When we think about the roads, right, it's not just the cars, it's not just the trucks. Any of us, right, who have been traveling around can see the importance of motorbikes to individuals, to communities. And also, look, I'll share the story of when I travel, and I have the privilege to travel all around the world. When I go to countries where motorbikes are an important part, man, there is nothing more terrifying to me when I'm on the road and I see motorbikes all over flying about. The ability to have an impact on that is very, very important. The numbers are really amazing. We're talking about 80% of households in Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia own a motorbike. We're talking about really something that is universal. Over 45% of households in China and India, 3 billion people, right, in those countries. This is something that is going to have, when we talk about scale and impact, is going to be very important. And the technology used, let me congratulate the team for getting that. The user interface, it's very difficult to do these things. So congratulations to everyone involved. And let me thank UNITAR and York University for bringing this tool to life. We're talking about Streets for Life, but bringing this to life is really going to have an impact. It's going to have impact around scale. It's a pleasure and an honor to be part of it. And thank you for having me today.
Sorry about that, Vicki. Yes, special thank you to the UN Assistant Secretary General, Ms. Gyles-Mcdonnough, and to Mr. Blood. As Vicki had indicated earlier, I am David Williams, the Vice President for Barbados Motoring Federation, which actually is the governing body for motorsport here in Barbados. And December 2023, I was appointed as a director in North America Continental, as was mentioned before, to the Federale Internationale in Motocyclisme, which is FIM, F-I-M, as opposed to FIA. In Barbados, our federation has been working diligently on raising public awareness of the dangers involved in accidents across the island. Our federation also has been working with our local National Sports Council and one of the government departments on finding ways to make our roads safer for all road users. I'm pleased to inform you that we've been able to make some strides towards this. I just wanted to say that on behalf of the Barbados Motor Federation, we're in full support of this project. And we'd like to wish the organizers our congratulations and kudos to all involved and wish you a safe week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you both to John and to David for your unwavering commitment to safer roads and stronger partnerships. Let us now shift gears and ride into our interactive panel discussion under the theme Safe Journeys, Walking, Cycling, Riding. Joining us today are distinguished speakers working at the front line on road safety and community engagement across the globe. Our panelists include Mr. Peter Goldwasser, Executive Director of Together for Safer Roads, based in the United States. Mr. John Herbert, Founder and Director of MakeItSafe Barbados. Mr. Okoronkwo, Officer of the Federal Road Safety Corps in Nigeria. Ms. Vanessa Rubo Olmos, Founder and Director of Waves El Salvador. And Mr. Rich Honwaski, Founder and CEO of Cycle Safety Solutions in the USA. Each panelist will have 5 minutes to share their reflections and insight. Let's begin with Peter. Can you share with us more about Together for Safer Roads and how private sector partnerships are helping to advance road safety?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vicki. Thank you, UNITAR. It's a great honor to be here today, and I mean that. And you know, as I look across all the different distinguished guests that are here, I think Together for Safer Roads' role and responsibility really comes to the forefront. We are an international NGO comprised of some of the largest and most important and leading companies in the world. I think what John said earlier about, I took notes here, John, scale, reach, and best practices. And that's really why we exist. We were formed about 15 years ago alongside the United Nations with the simple, but I think transformative and profound idea. What would happen if you took the scale, resources, network, the human capital of some of the biggest fleets in the world and some of the biggest and most important hardware and software companies and said, let's take these ideas, let's take these resources and deploy them to create specific dedicated programs to support all fleets. We know that about 88% of fleets in the world are small to mid-sized fleets. So these are fleets that are out there. They want to do good. They want to create safer fleets. They want to save the lives of both their workers and in the communities that they operate, but they may just not know how best to do that. And so that's Together for Safer Roads' charge. It's one that I take seriously. It's one that is of great value and import. So we work on a variety of issues around the world with our member companies. We work on everything from vehicle design, meaning how do you create vehicles that have better vision so you can see vulnerable road users like motorcyclists and like walkers and strollers and cyclists out there. We work on projects that look at how do you deploy aftermarket technologies like surround cameras and blind zones and intelligent speed assist on fleets. We work on culture of safety training through our Focus program, which brings the best practices of our members to small and mid-sized fleets to develop cultures of safety. And then, of course, we work on issues of motorcycle safety with ABI and also with Rich Honowski, who you'll hear from today. So it's perfect synergy. Rich and his company, Motorcycle Safety Solutions, who's working on this issue. I always believe that we need to help companies close the gap between the moral and the market imperative. And what I mean by that is, how do you do good, but how do you do good in a way that's sustainable, that returns a variety of value to not only the company, but to the communities and societies that these companies operate in? And I think that's so important because if you frame the issue of road safety in this broader context, I think you create solutions and incentives that are sustainable, that are scalable, and you open it up to a variety of different actors and stakeholders who all want to participate. And so for TSR, our lane really is the private sector, creating partnerships between the private sector and the public sector to test new technologies, to open up sort of the table so everybody can play their part and contribute. So it's a great honor to be here today. I look forward to learning about the app. I look forward to bringing this technology and creating mini pilots with this technology to some of our different communities that we work in. So thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it and look forward to the rest of the conversation today, Vicki.
Thank you very much, Peter. Now from the USA, we go to Barbados. We turn to John. Can you please share with us the work of MakeItSafe and its contribution to road safety on the island?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Vicki. Thank you for the invitation. It's certainly a pleasure to be here. MakeItSafe is a relatively new organization in the landscape of safety in Barbados. We officially launched in January of 2004. So we're just over a year old. And during that period, what we have done is spent a lot of time really observing the landscape of safety in Barbados and meeting with a lot of the stakeholders, government departments, insurance related partners, sponsors, the whole gamut, even motorcycle clubs we have been associated with, bicycle clubs we have been in association with, and the whole gamut. I got involved in safety and road safety in about 2012. And it really came about as a result being involved in insurance for many years and observing the accidents that were coming through the insurance company. I know there's a lot of speculation and talk about the fact that insurance companies do not like to pay claims. But what I saw was not insurance companies do not want to pay claims. What I saw was people being injured, deaths, families torn apart. And these events, money, and nothing that an insurance company can do as far as an insurance company is concerned could have done to really make a difference in the lives of those people. So I thought that maybe I should lend my voice and my ideas to road safety in Barbados. So I got involved, and my association dates back with the Barbados Road Safety Association. And then, as I said, in 2004 and months prior to that, we thought that we will only look at road safety, but we will look at safety in a broader perspective. I know we are specifically here to talk about motorcycle safety, but when we look at the landscape of Barbados, I think that there is not enough being said about safety, and particularly about road safety. It reminds me of a few years ago, I met with a company and we were discussing insurance. But this company, which is involved in manufacturing, said that when they brought safety in the workplace to the top of the list, so to speak, and it was preached, so to speak, from the CEO down, they saw a significant difference in terms of the results of injuries and near misses and so on within their company. And I think that if we can do that in Barbados, we can make a significant difference in terms of the way that we use the roads and in terms of the way that we respond to how when we get into a vehicle, when we get onto a motorcycle, how we will use, how we would traverse from point A to point B. In 2024, in Barbados, we had about 22 road deaths. The year prior to that, in 2023, we had about 17. I tend to shy away from comparing one year to the next with respect to when it comes to statistical data, because one road death is one road death too much. And even though 1 year may change with respect to another year, the point is there were deaths and there were injuries. And we in Make It Safe Barbados is we are forging ahead to bring road safety to the top of the mind of everybody, the road users, the government officials, the policymakers, the lawmakers, the insurance companies. Wherever our voice can be heard, we will speak to safety. And if we can make a difference in that way, I'm sure that when it comes to motorcycle accidents and accidents in general, we will not have the problems that we are facing with at the moment. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, John, for sharing your perspective and the work of Make It Safe. Let us now shift gears and head over to Africa. Ugochukwu, a federal officer, can you please speak to the efforts underway in Nigeria, particularly how legislation is supporting road safety there? You are still on mute.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's afternoon here in Nigeria. This is the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. I am a Federal Road Safety Officer with the Federal Road Safety Corps here in Nigeria. Road safety being the lead agency in terms of road safety management here in Nigeria. And since the establishment of the UN Global Road Safety Week, the road safety has taken it upon themselves to ensure that road traffic crashes are reduced to its barest minimum. And in fact, in the FRSC, which is the Federal Road Safety Corps, our first strategic goal for the year 2025 is to ensure that we achieve 10% reduction in road traffic fatality and injuries through focused interventions. And the launch of this motorcycle assessment app will be greatly encouraged in Nigeria here. We have ensured that we are able to reduce the risk of motorcycle crashes, especially with taking into consideration how they ply on the expressways. So most of the motorcycles that ply in the Federal Capital Territory have been reduced to dispatch riders. And there are certain requirements before those riders are certified to ply in Nigeria on the expressway. So we ensure that these dispatch riders meet those certain requirements, ensure that the safety gears and helmets are in place before they ply the roads. And we also have engaged more in a lot of public education to ensure that a lot of people are aware of the dangers on the road, because in Africa here, we may not have so many sophisticated road furniture and infrastructure, but we ensure that a lot of signages to indicate certain routes that are to be plied by road users are, adhered to strictly. And so we have made sure that in the first quarter of this year, we had about 30 crashes in FCT, but just about 5 of them were motorcycle crashes compared to what we had last quarter of 2024. So to an extent, we are driving towards making sure that motorcycle crashes are reduced to its barest minimum to make sure that everywhere is safe for both the motorcyclists and other road users in Africa. So this initiative to launch this initiative would actually go a long way in making a difference in reducing crashes here in Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Unuku. Next, we move from Africa to Central America, where we would welcome Vanessa. Can you please tell us about MOVES, your initiative in El Salvador, and how it is addressing the needs of motorcycle users?
Hello to everyone, and I'm very happy that we have this space to know about the app and the different initiatives and what we're doing around the globe. So, motorcycles in El Salvador, I want to tell you that it represents 33% of the whole vehicle park, and only 71% of these motorcyclists have a driving license. That this number has increased a lot since 1 year apart. Why? About last year in January of 2024, basically was 40% of the people who has a driving license, and we've seen that it's because of a lot of enforcement of law enforcement. It's 1 per day that loses a life, and we have an increase of 20% of injured. So we are trying to work. We are like an advocates. We are advocates and support our government and collaborate with them in reducing fatalities. We collaborated. The first one of the very important initiative was the Motorcyclist Road Safety Plan that we held into a collaboration. This enhanced our goal. This goal was, of course, cut motorcycle-related death and serious injuries by 50% by 2030, which we all know that. Our key actions were like enhanced driver training and licensing standards. It was it was mandatory use of certified gear and focusing on certified helmets. And there were after the plan, new sanctions for motorcyclists. The partners on this plan was government agencies, civil society, and of course, the IDP support. There now have, since December from last year, we have special fines for motorcyclists. We have special big fines for $150. $150, it's a lot of money for El Salvador. It's a little bit, it's like 40% of the minimum salary. So it's like a lot of money. One of the fines are riding motorcycles. Let me just hold on. Better. Riding motorcycles without wearing a protective helmet, it does not have a windshield, or you don't have glasses. Riding between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. without a reflective vest, and a fine for $150 for drivers and passengers riding motorcycles without a certified helmet and riding with more than 2 people. So we are happy about that, because then mom, dad, and kid could not go in the motorcycle. Only 2 persons per bike. And of course, it has another sanction for $50 if you don't have your driving license. So that has increased we're increasing on getting the motorcyclists to have their driving license. Awareness campaign. We had awareness campaign that it was not a superhero. We did it with the support of La Constancia, this was another private sector with a funding of InBev Foundation. So thank you for that. and another foundation for rehabilitation from Teleton. This purpose was to raise awareness among motorcyclists about road risks and promote responsible behavior. The approach we used was uses relatable characters to highlight common dangers like speeding, distractions, and lack of protection. Within the awareness campaign, we used to have activities. These activities refer to workshops and community events. We trained for 3 different sectors, like also the trainers from the schools, the driving schools, and peer education and awareness campaign. One of the most important initiatives is the institutional collaboration for road safety. These have been good results because we've been in collaboration from different government institutions with the Vice Minister of Transport, with FONAT, which is a Fund of Traffic Accident for Victims, which is from the government too, and of course the civil society. So this has been very important because we are like the advocates. We are the ones who ask for this, for what we want for our country. You know, we are the ones who advocate for our country, and we try to support the different government plans, what they say. This strengthens emergency crash response, legal protections, and public safety informants for motorcycles users. One thing very important for us from civil society to our country is that we held every year the Congress of Ibero-American Congress of Mobility and Road Safety. It's a local activity, but it's a space for dialogue and knowledge based on professional vision and collaboration to address the various problems on road safety. The aim is to influence the political agenda, contribute to collective proposals, and give visibility to safe mobility projects. And all the stakeholders in the sector participate: private sector, academia, civil society, municipalities, multilateral organizations, and government. These initiatives reflect a strong multi-sectoral commitment to protecting motorcyclists, reducing traffic fatalities, and promoting culture of responsibility and safety on El Salvador roads. I always talk about will is the key to saving lives on the roads. And when we talk about road safety, we often focus on technology, infrastructure, legislation, or enforcement. These are all necessary tools, but none of them work without the essential ingredient, that it's will. Will is what turns knowledge into action. It is the political will to act, the institutional will to implement, and the personal will to change behavior that makes difference between another preventable tragedy and life saved. Will is what transforms priorities. Too often, road safety is treated as a secondary issue until a headline reminds us about its cost. But where there is will, safety becomes central. It becomes part of every policy, every budget, and every project. It stops being a checkbox and starts being a moral commitment to protect human life. Will is contagious.
Thank you very much indeed, Vanessa. I'm so sorry. Thank you so very much. And we certainly agree with you there that where indeed the will is present, that the persons and the desire to change will also follow. Finally, we'd like to close our panel as we now turn to Rich. Can you share with us motorcycle safety solutions play a role in Malaysia to enhance motorcycle safety? And this is Malaysia. I did promise you that we're going across the globe. Rich, over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vicki. Thank you to UNITAR for this great opportunity. I hope you can see my slides. Okay. Yes. So I've been involved in transportation safety research since 1991, and a lot of that work has been focused on cars, trucks, and technology, safety technology, mostly for the US, to, what works, how can we look at human behavior, crash factors, and apply specific technology to support drivers. And then about 5 years ago, I became aware of what's going on in other parts of the world. And John Blood's earlier discussion, his opening with respect to motorcycles in other parts of the world was a real eye-opener. I started working in Malaysia and kind of understood that just the very hectic nature of bikes. And these are the kind of the countries, Latin America as well, but where we see high representation of motorcycle crashes, fatalities, and what's often not talked about is the injuries associated with that. So if we have 1.2 or whatever it is million deaths, you want to multiply that by maybe 3 or 4 or higher, to look at injuries and crashes that occur, and what that can do to someone's employment and a way of life. One of the things that we did, and again, this is an eye-opener for me. I'm going to show a little video here. This is in Malaysia, and just understanding the behavior of riders in some of these countries. So there's something called lane filtering and lane splitting, and that's okay, but cars can make unpredictable maneuvers and motions. One of the things that we looked at, we had cameras that were on bikes. We were really focused on the rider behavior, and we saw very often riders would have to, when they do these kind of maneuvers, would be shoulder checking, wouldn't be looking forward, and then would often run into the back of a vehicle. And you don't have to go very fast on a motorcycle because they are vulnerable, that you're going to have a crash, an injury, and likely often a death. So one of the things we wanted to do is we wanted to look at, validated scientific technology that's been used and accepted in cars and trucks, and how could we tailor that and apply that to the motorcycle issue. So that's what we did. We started this new company called Motorcycle Safety Solutions. It's based in the US, but we just incorporated in Malaysia, and because again, that's where we think a lot of the market is. And we're focused on really 3 verticals. There's a lot of deliveries, unlike the US, a lot of last mile delivery occurs by motorcycle, whether that's food delivery, package delivery, e-hailing. You can take a taxi, a motorcycle taxi, just like you can, an Uber. So that's kind of a market. Workplace commuters, there's a lot of companies, and we do work with companies specifically, not the individual rider directly, but that want to keep their workers safe. So this concept of, that OSHA, you're responsible as an employer from your worker when they get into your shop until they leave your shop. That's important. But now let's expand that. Let's make sure they get home safe. And let's make sure they get to work safe. That's another corporate responsibility that we're looking at. And then finally, to the issue that was talked about earlier with respect to training and licensing, that's what we found as well. And I was told a story in Malaysia, you're, maybe 15 years old, you want to be mobile, you just borrow your brother's bike, your neighbor's bike, and you just go. There's no formal process or training per se. And so one of the things that we do with our technology is we also provide training. So it's tailored. It's a little bit like an ADAS system. It provides some emergency warnings to prevent riders in the moment from getting into crashes. But it also tracks the riders. It tracks their performance, their behavior, and it gives them at the end of the ride a safety score. And it uses best practice to tell them what they should do better. What limitations do they have? So using AI, machine vision, and other kind of aspects, we're able to really kind of target training for particular riders. So the name of our technology is called RideHawk. And again, it is meant to keep riders safe. Again, fleets is an area that we're looking at. So just like delivery fleets in the US, whether it's trucking, we're focused again on fleets that may do deliveries in some of these other countries through a web app. It has telematics and GPS. So if I'm a fleet operator, I have 100 bikes that are doing deliveries, I can track them. I can monitor who my riskiest riders are because I can see all their safety scores. And then I can do special training to those particular riders, again, to keep my entire fleet safe. So we rolled this out about a year ago. Again, I'm a scientist at Virginia Tech. So I started working with universities in Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, where we've done pilots with universities to help us build a robust system. And we're ongoing with those, but the Indonesia study's done. You're going to see some journal publications soon, and I can give you a preview that we had some benefits, about a 30% improvement in safety when riders were using this particular technology. So as I mentioned, we're in the US, but now we're also in Malaysia. We're starting to work with companies in Malaysia, both fleets and companies that want to keep their commuters safe, to get to work safe and to leave, make sure they get home safe. We're working with a company I talked to in Taiwan. They were losing 2 of their workers every month in motorcycle. Now, this is not deaths, but they were serious motorcycle crashes that took these people out of the job. So that's really kind of our message here. And if you'd like to know more, please send me an email. Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you very much indeed, Rich. To all our panelists, thank you for sharing your compelling and indeed life-saving contributions towards road safety. Now, for the much anticipated moment, let us turn our gears up for the official presentation of the Intelligent Motorcycle Road Safety Assessment App. To share in this presentation, I will invite Ms. Estrella Merlos, the Global Head of Road Safety and Partnership here at UNITAR, and followed by our developer, Dr. Ali Asghari, Director of CFAL York at York University. Estrella?
Thank you, Vicki, and good afternoon to our distinguished participants online, our speakers and partners who are with us today. UNITAR is the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, is the dedicated training arm of the United Nations. At the center and at the heart of what we do is build capacity to improve road safety. We do it across 3 pillars. We leverage knowledge to build capacity. We transfer skills. We also work on increasing public awareness and contribute in collaboration with other partners to the implementation of innovative interventions, such as the one we are going to present here today. This week is quite a special occasion as we celebrate the 8th United Nations Global Road Safety Week, Streets for Life. This is a special moment to present concrete commitments, to engage local actors, governments, academia, civil society, and businesses to design and implement interventions that advance road safety. We're grateful to all of you for joining us on this special week. Today, we are very honored and pleased to launch this artificial intelligence-powered web app that is designed for motorcycle riders, for road safety experts and advocates, urban planners, public health experts, emergency services, and law enforcement, motorcycle training instructors in schools. I will just share a very brief overview, and I will then allow Dr. Asghari to tell us more about this application. It aims to provide predictive assessments of motorcycle road safety for specific locations. It's based on a comprehensive motorcycle road safety index that includes 34 factors on human behavior, vehicle features, road conditions, environmental factors, and emergency response, and provides tailored recommendations for risk mitigation. I do invite you to explore the app once you have the link, to connect, to explore, to use it, and especially to our partners here. We're looking forward to working together to test it, to pilot it in different countries across the globe to improve road safety, especially for motorcycle riders. And Dr. Asghari, to you now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Estrella, and good afternoon, good morning to everyone. It's my honor and great pleasure to share this space with all of you. I think most of the comments made here are a strong message that road safety is still a problem globally, and more can be done. And fortunately, technology is on our side. We can leverage the technology and get these numbers as low as we can together. So this application, as mentioned, is an effort to support that initiative, support those goals that we have collaboratively on this particular road safety issue. I'm going to basically provide you first with the structure of this application very briefly, and going through the app briefly and explain some of the details behind that. But again, it's going to be quick. I'll share with you the link so that you can explore it yourself in more detail. So in terms of a structure, basically this app uses several techniques to come together in form of this application. We have examined and studied a number of factors that contribute to motorcycle road safety, combining them into an index, basically. This includes, as mentioned already, human factors, motorcycle factors, environmental factors, emergency factors, and regulatory factors. There's several levels or hierarchy of these factors. We have gone up to 3 levels in this application. There could be more. One could, for example, go up to 4 or 5 levels or sub-levels for each of these factors. But this was the level we thought is more practical and also intuitive when we build the application. So once we have all these factors, we need to create a weight for those. So we applied an analytical hierarchy process, receiving information and contributions from experts to get those surveys completed, and using those created the weight for each of these factors. Now, there are a lot can be done in terms of maybe doing the surveys at country levels or even sub-country levels to get maybe more context-based specific weights for those. But we are not going to detail here, but essentially that brings the data in terms of the weights to the application. So we then get input from the users through the applications on all those factors. And once they complete the input, the app engine works into combining the input data with the weights that we have previously calculated, and using the pre-trained application, pre-trained model, AI model, then it generates the results for that particular location given by the user for that. And once the data is processed, it generates 3 types of output. One is in form of the overall index and contributing factors, and also an AI-based or generative AI-based report, contextualizing based on the input and also context or city information that the data is coming from. And also it maps the results for a particular submission and or all submission. Now I'm going to briefly go into the app itself. We try to make it as simple as possible, as less time consuming as possible. I'm not going to give or go through details and provide actual information to these questions that we go and we have, or data requests that we have in the app now, but essentially it shows you how it works. So this is the first page when you enter the app. We have, of course, a disclaimer, mostly because, while this information is given by the user, it also uses information that is publicly available. We have to be aware that this is not going to be 100% expert prescriptions for a particular case. And we have also a short description of how the app works, a step-by-step in one page. Then you continue next. This is where you indicate what is your role in terms of user of the app. It could be a motorcycle user, it could be a prospective or future rider, etc., etc. You pick based on your role. I say I'm choosing this one, and then you give your country, for example, Canada, and then city or Toronto or wherever, and it maps your location on the map, or you can select your location from the map by choosing this one. Once completed, you go to the actual input portion of the application where you provide, based on your experience, if you are a user or if you are an expert, based on your expert knowledge of the city or country, place where you work, respond to all these type of questions, but based on the factors that we have identified to indicate the values for each of these. I'm going to just go through so that you can see how it works, but essentially user has to provide proper answer to each of these questions, again, based on their experience or expertise. Go there. This is for motorcycle factors. You see, for motorcycle factors, for example, we have the conditions of motorcycles, how they maintained, and also their safety features based on what is commonly used in that particular country. Or we have road factors, talking about several important factors, from maintenance to traffic management to alignment to intersections, etc. These are, again, based on the robust studies that have been putting together these factors. So you respond to this and go next. This is environmental factors. We have, again, 3 environmental factors contributing to motorcycle road safety based on the research, based on practice. And same for post-crash or emergency factors, looking into response time, access to emergency and medical services, and post-crash investigation. Going next to policy and enforcement, as you noticed by our speakers, also frequently mentioned the important role of this aspect into road safety, motorcycle road safety. So they provide this information and submit the result. Once they submit, of course, it goes into the calculation and analysis of the index, and giving you the results in form of a gauge chart, and also major contributing factor, their shares into this assessment, and also details of each individual factor within those subgroups that you can see and explore it in more detail, how they contributed to this assessment based on what you have. And once you finish with this, you can see the results on a map like this. You can zoom in, zoom out, and see, for example, the one that I just created is this one. And you can see also the results in chart. These are the results for aggregated number of incidents or reported submissions in the application. And you can finally get a report based on, again, your role in the application, in the motorcycle road safety. I chose this one, but you can also see other type of roles. And it goes based on the input given to the application by the user, and also going through the publicly available information, and also the tune of we have tuned this for specific type of motorcycle safety tools and applications and documents also created by UNITAR to generate this AI or generative AI based results. Now it's running. After a while, it generates the results. For the sake of time, I stop here, but passing to Wiki. Once the results are here. So usually it's faster. Probably in Zoom it takes a bit of time, but this is the snapshot of the results that you get. It's structured in a way that the reader can quickly read and see, based on the input, what are the things that they can do to make it better, and also references to some of the key tools that are available, and so forth. So these reports are very specific to the type of user. So every user will have their own specific type of report, and then we can download the report. And I'm going to conclude this. I should definitely mention that we acknowledge the support we receive from UNITAR in terms of making sure to have access to a number of experts who provided this completed the survey. I also want to make a special thanks to the team, particularly Yusuf Zaim, who is in audience today, who was the main developer behind the application. We spent together a lot of time, day and night, to bring this to this place right now. And also want to thank Naeem Askari, who was the designer working with us to make this application to the shape that you can see here. And of course, support from Esterla and leadership on putting all this in terms of organizational and institutional support. Thank you so much. And I go back to you, Vicki. Sorry it took longer a bit, but I thought this is important.
Indeed, it was indeed important. Thank you very much to both yourself, Dr. Sky, and Estrella for the introduction of the app. It doesn't end here. We will share with you towards the end of the webinar. We know that we're craving your indulgence for an additional 10 minutes so that we can complete our agenda. So we would like to hear now from riders themselves, voices from the roads. And first, I'd like to invite Brooke Miller, national motorbike racer and champion rider, Class A, to share his perspectives. Brooke?
Hey guys, what's up? She mentioned my name's Brooke Miller. I guess since COVID, racing's kind of stopped here. So if it didn't, we'd still be bracking it. But I also have a lot of experience on the streets. I actually started in the streets. Actually started racing in the streets, to be honest, and stunt riding. So I actually have that background as a rider, and then getting in trouble in life just telling me that I'm going in the wrong direction. That's kind of how I found my way to the track. But you know, kind of listening to what you guys have been going on and listening to the app and its application, I think it has its benefits. But when I'm looking like at people like myself and how can I explain it? Like if I was looking at it more like a corporate, like say I had my own business and I had the riders going out for me. Ideally, obviously, I'm going to want to worry about their safety. And in order to collect that data, it would allow me to then sit down with that group and be like, hey, this is what we need to do to stay safe. This is what we need to do. You know what I mean? But as an individual rider, especially because I think we're wired a little bit different, to sit down and go through a lot of those logistics just wouldn't be a realistic thing. So I think there's a couple of ways in which the application is super fantastic. I think it's really cool. And I think it's more in the corporate lines because it's extremely organized. And if you actually looked at the stuff where they're talking about riders riding and the way they're going through traffic, it may not look that organized to you guys, but that's just because our perspective is a little bit different and what order looks like to us. So overall, if I was traveling, especially like say I went to Indonesia and I wanted to do riding there, as an experienced rider and understanding that each demographic has a different way of moving about the streets, now that I know about this app, I could have taken a quick look to kind of assess the kind of vibes and things that people encounter here. So if you come to Barbados and you're to talk to me and you're like, yo, Brooke, I want to go riding or whatever, I can give you like a 10-point thing to look out for. Like, this is what happens here. This is what you got to watch here. People love to do this to you. So on and so forth down that. And looking at this app, the country, I kind of get an overview of the things that they encounter. Is a riser that I feel a little bit more attentive while I'm looking out for these sort of things, because in my country, they may not be there. So on that line, to encourage any type of safety, is amazing, because like you said, one life is too many. You know, we look at these statistics, we look at these numbers, and we're like, oh, only 100 people. You know what I mean? Only whatever. But if it was that one mom, you're one mom or one dad or one brother, it's worth 1 million. So it really doesn't matter when it comes to the numbers. So I think overall, anything that is helping to improve the safety of the riders and the pedestrians and the people on the road and road safety in general, I'm always like thumbs up for. But it does have its restrictions as to who I believe would engage with it. So for example, like in Guyana or in Jamaica or whatnot. Imagine your average dude getting up and hopping on the bike. Do you see them stopping to look at the app and maybe input A, B, and C, or fill out all the forms? Whatever. This is not most likely not going to happen. But again, if we look at the more corporate side or people who are organizing, you know what I mean? They can then put that onto it, because really and truly, when it comes to safety, this is where it is. This is about awareness, paying attention, understanding vehicles. A lot of people on the road have no idea how a motorcycle works. So this is where a lot of our problems come from. And the more we can express or share what it takes and what a bike moves like. So I think a lot of it is just about information sharing, putting those PSAs out there so people know, be like, oh, wow, that's how a bike can do that, or that's how quickly this can stop, because people have no idea. You know what I mean? So I think more knowledge, more information is basically what we're looking for. And yeah, I think all in all, that's kind of the vibe. But a thumbs up, guys. Anybody who's like road safety, it's where it's at. I've done a lot of PSAs. I think it's something that is super important. These roads, especially in the Caribbean, you see it. I know in North America, we don't lane split. So when I'm riding in Canada, I actually feel a little bit like embarrassed because I'm just sitting behind a car like, what's going on here? But in the Caribbean, it's a whole different vibe, right? So to each their own, everybody gotta kind of create the solution that works for them. But yeah, safety is first in my books. Hence why I take myself on the track.
Thank you very much for that, Brooke, and sharing your perspective as a writer. Up next, if you can get ready to share, Francesca, the video. Up next, we have Laurie Worrell. He's on the panel. You'll see his screen, but we're actually going to show you a video now of Laurie as he tests the app. Voices from the Road. Let's load the video, please.
Hi, my name is Laurie Worrell, motorcycle racer, motorcycle biker from Barbados, riding for the last 15
we're not
years. Today,
seeing the video. Sorry about that, Francesca. Can you reload?
I'm here to talk about the intelligent motor. Hi, my name is Laurie Worrell, motorcycle racer, motorcycle biker from Barbados, riding for the last 15 years. Today I'm here to talk about the intelligent motorcycle road safety assessment app, which I've had the privilege of using. This app aids to assist motorbike riders in their everyday riding. The app asks the right questions, whether it be about decision making, road safety, condition of the roads, or decision making made by riders, protective gear, protective wear, how we perceive other road users, car drivers. We must also take note of these things. While using the app, I was able to answer questions that are specific to us riders on the road, whether it be the condition of the road, whether it be how other drivers see us. For example, I've had the experience of riding on the road and seeing a vehicle pull at me as a motorcycle rider. These are all things that we experience as riders on the day. Dangerous? Yes. How do we bring awareness? The app helps for us to state the things that concern us and bother us on the road. It also helps for us to talk about things about infrastructure, types of road, the types of paint used to do the markings on the road. All of these things make a difference. One other key area we must pay attention to is the response of medical personnel. We know that there are a lot of accidents that happen on the road, and we appreciate the efforts that are put in by the paramedics. We must also play our part by making better decisions on the road, wearing our protective gear, making choices of when to overtake vehicles. We must play it safe. We must take the right choice. This app helps with the identification of those things. The app also asks about traffic laws. Are we following the requisite laws? Is your bike legal? Is it insured? Do you have all the lights that are needed? Indicators. In conclusion, The app generates a fantastic report to assess the safety levels of your homeland.
Thank you indeed, Lori and Brooke, for sharing with us from a rider's perspective how, and I noticed that to Asghari's comment, the app is an assessment for an initial process as opposed to a day-to-day, just as you get on. So we will implement as much data as we can receive. We will be able to use it to develop more perspectives, indeed safety requirements for national implementation. As we conclude, let us now invite Estrella to share her final reflections and outline the next steps as we expand this initiative globally. Estrella?
Thank you, Vicky. And if you can please share also the slide with the QR code so that everyone can scan it.
Yes.
Distinguished colleagues and friends, as we close the 8th United Nations Global Road Safety Week, Streets for Life, please allow me to emphasize the crucial role that mobility and transport systems play in our societies. But also let's recognize the right of every individual to mobility options that are safe, accessible, and sustainable. We know that road traffic crashes continue to place on society an enormous burden in terms of human suffering, with approximately 1.2 million preventable deaths and an estimated 50 million injuries each year, which makes road safety both an urgent public health and a development priority. We know that achieving the global target of 50% is possible. We have seen 35 countries achieve reductions of 30 to 50% in the number of deaths due to road traffic crashes, and some other 10 countries globally who have reached the 50% target in the last decade between 2010 and 2021. While there has been a global overall reduction of 5% in the number of deaths in the past decade, so much more and much more can and must be done to prevent fatalities and injuries. The fundamental premise is that transport systems should result in 0 deaths and injuries, and safety should not be compromised. Today's event reaffirms the importance of multi-sectoral approaches and engagement of diverse actors in all sectors, civil society, academia, businesses, industries, which can make important contributions to improving road safety globally by managing road safety throughout their value chain. I thank our participants, speakers, and partners for your commitment and support. Our special thanks to InBev, to the Federal Safety Corps of Nigeria, the International Motorcyclisme Federation, York University, Together for Safer Roads, MakeItSafe, Moves, Motorcycle Safety Solutions, and our champion riders joining us today. Let's continue our efforts with determination and solidarity to achieve our vision of safe and accessible roads for all. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you indeed, Estrella. Thank you to you all for joining us for this timely and inspiring launch as we continue to observe the 8th UN Global Road Safety Week. May we take this momentum forward to keep our streets safer, smarter, and more inclusive for everyone. From all of us here at UNITAR, thank you. Stay safe as we continue towards safer roads. Thank you and good day.